Welcome back once again to the ESL Pro League Season 5 Finals. Now we have the second quarterfinal of the day. It's Team EnVyUs taking on Team Liquid, the team that surprised us of the French players left over from the shuffle, and Team Liquid, who got in here basically by the grace of God. The other North American team really bailing them out with a big win.
You would do anything to diminish my prediction, Jason. Why do you hate me so much? I thought we were friends.
Once again, not all about you. Not all about you. But yeah, I mean, fair play. You did say Liquid is going to make it out of groups. Congratulations, Yango. Is that the credit you were looking for?
Thank you, Jason. Yeah. I really appreciate that.
Back in the room?
We also don't believe in God.
Also don't believe in God. Great. Bring that into the broadcast.
You want some religion? We get politics. We can do it all.
Yeah, between you and Matt, I just can't get away from it, can I? Either way, let's start with EnVyUs because this is a team that, after the roster shuffle, after G2 was created as a super team, all the best players it seemed that they picked to be in that roster. EnVyUs was kind of left over with pieces that you didn't think were going to be able to work together. Happy as an in-game leader has been questioned. But I mean, now this team, off some great play, has actually gotten this far into the tournament.
And also, who the hell is XMS? It's a guy coming out of nowhere. I mean, he did play with LDLC, but, maybe a surprising pick for some. Why do they decide to get him out of all the players in the market? And initially they had a lot of struggles. Their first two LAN tournaments, I think they only had one map win, actually. So a lot of people were questioning, okay, is this team just going to disband? What's going to happen? But actually, you could see signs of hope in, their game plan, their fundamentals. It was just a lot of mistakes individually. It seems like the bootcamp that they had coming into this tournament really helped them iron out those mistakes pretty much. And also the level that RPK is hitting in this tournament is insane. He's actually the highest rated player of the whole tournament.
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing we see, right, is we do say these guys were leftovers. They were or have been stars in their own right in previous iterations of Counter-Strike or previous teams, right? Scream, for example, is one who, is the aim star, the one-tap king, I don't know, whatever he's...
Whatever branding he's using these days.
What do they call him? It doesn't matter. RPK and Source.
Headshot machine?
Yeah, that's the one. In Source, he was like a legendary, one of the greatest Source players of all time. Happy, he's been a good in-game leader. Fantastic at lurking. He kind of not revolutionized that role. He kind of ran that role into the ground, I would say. Him and Get Right together, but Happy continued. And Sixer, I guess, is more of a support AWP. I don't see him as anything too flashy. And then you have the XMS, who's the guy, we're talking about having a fantastic performance so far. So they've all kind of come into their own in this tournament, and it's great to see.
I'm not gonna lie, when that graphic popped up with the EnVy roster, I actually thought that Happy and XMS have been switched again since Happy shaved. They just don't recognize him anymore. Like a whole new man, whole new player as well. This is Scream, obviously, big name. We know everything about him: the headshots, how well he aims, his mechanical skill, gifted. And I mean, it might be a little bit confusing to some people why he was left out of that G2 roster. That seemed to be the biggest question mark when that super team was formed. Do you guys have any thoughts on why maybe he was the one that wasn't selected to be in that team?
I don't think they like him.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably relationships or something along those lines. Because Scream obviously has a lot of talent, but you look at the current G2 roster, there are a lot of playmakers or players that need space. And do you really consider Scream a support player, a role player?
Right.
He could fit that role, perhaps, but is that really where you want to put him? I think he thrives when he actually has enough space to do his own thing.
I liked Chad's idea a little bit more. That was fun. Good stuff. Team Liquid now. Let's move on to the North American squad. Just barely getting into these playoffs, having to almost go into those tiebreakers, but squeaking it out in the end. This is the team we expect to kind of come up and be the standard bearers for North America at some point. They're the team that has, it's crazy to think that with Stanislaw in there, they have the most, I guess, stabilized in-game leader in the entire region at this point, to some degree. But Twist is kind of the star that we're really looking to make leaps and bounds. Yeah,
day one he was abysmal. I think that's probably the best way of putting it, right? Like, he didn't show up and maybe he had some pre-LAN jitters. It's something for another young player, right, to come into these bigger stages and have to perform. But then on day two, he was much better, especially on Inferno for them. I think, even though they didn't win that match against Mouse, he was playing a better brand of Counter-Strike and putting up big numbers. Another player who was impressive for me so far this tournament is JDM. And the fact that they've built more things around JDM to make his life easier as an AWPer to find picks. But I think, a clip like this demonstrates why Twist can be a good player. He's obviously mechanically sound. It's just learning about the right decision-making and, I don't know, finding his place in a system.
Yeah, he can definitely be the X factor for Liquid here. And Liquid is a team that they do seem like they're all on the same page, right? Everyone knows what they need to do, what their role is. Everyone's behind Stanislaw and his in-game leading. And the thing is, this roster didn't really have a lot of time to iron things out. That's why, for example, a map pool, the map pool is still a problem for them. Coordination of some of the maps that they do play still is lacking. But for me, it seems like the foundation really is there, and that with time they can be, a contender internationally even.
And actually, I mean, it's good that you bring up the maps just because that's something Vendetta has harped on throughout the season of ESL Pro League here in the North American region is the very narrow map pool that Team Liquid has. But I mean, let's start getting into that discussion before it actually comes in. Where are we thinking this is going to be taken? Liquid seem to have a little bit of a, advantage on a map like Nuke, which has seemed so important in map pools recently.
That's going to be like a contention point. I feel like also Overpass is a map that neither of these teams really play. So I would really like to see both teams like skip it in the first veto phase. Try to gain an advantage that way, because whichever team vetoes Overpass, if they do so in the first phase, the other team can have a very, very strong pick. So Nuke, I think, is a potential pick for Liquid, that or Cobblestone. On the other side of things, you would expect them to probably ban Cash and then for Envy to go something like Train.
Yeah, with Nuke, just to build on a little bit more, that's where we saw some very, I guess, unorthodox T strategies. Sorry, they would take map territory as a pack and then explode together. There are 4 guys coming out the door side or the decon door here, right. And that's quite a nice clutch there from Nitro. And then we had the other one here, which is where they get outside control, and they were getting that time and time again against Optic. And then 4 players busting from a catwalk top ladder into the bomb site. It's not like things like this. It's not really pre-planned. It's if we get here, okay, sure, we have a flash, now we're going to do it. These are kind of on-the-fly mid-round calls. I'm sure that is not a strategy that they've gone into the game with and said, this is what we want to achieve this round, because it's just so unorthodox.
Is that something that actually bodes well for Team Liquid, is the fact that they have that ability on the fly to make a play out of what positioning they've gained?
I think that's what Stan brings, right? The mid-round calls, the decisive decision-making. And as opposed to an overbearing game plan, I think he's better at actually dictating what needs to happen and when, once the rounds actually happen. Whereas I think Zeus is probably going to be the one who's pushing the direction of the strategies that they might actually be employing along with Stan.
So that combination of Zeus and Stan,
pretty powerful, I'd assume.
Game. Yeah. Let's move on. Yanko, you touched on Cobble. It's Liquid's most played map in EPL. Are we going to be seeing that today?
I think definitely, because it's a map that EnVyUs also like to play. For me, it's up in the air for Liquid between what do they pick in their first phase. Do they go for Nuke or do they go for Cobblestone? I feel the map that they don't pick will end up being the third map. So obviously a map that Liquid has played in previous iterations of the roster as well. And it's something that can suit them very well with Elysian Nitro in those entry fragging roles, right? If they can be effective, that's what allows JDM then to post up with an AWP long range on B platform or chicken coop or just around the statue pretty much, and that really makes the retake difficult for the CTs.
This is a map where Lige always seems to look comfortable, right? I think Nitro has his days on and off. I think more for him, he used to look super comfortable on Cage, but Lige is just one where on the CT side and the T side, he loves that B platform area of the map, and he seems to have a really good idea of how he wants to play it, and he seems to find frags on either side, and it's very powerful for Liquid.
Now, if we switch the conversation over towards Envy, I mean, one of the things I think that would be kind of interesting to talk about is not only did they make it through the tiebreakers against Fnatic and SK, but they did it on Train. Of all the maps to do it on, is that a surprise that they were that effective on Train, able to win all these tiebreaking scenarios against those two teams?
I think it was a slight surprise because, both Fnatic and especially SK are strong Train teams and strong on the CT side, very aggressive, and you were wondering, okay, will EnVyUs have what it takes on the T side, the more difficult side, to actually rack up those rounds, and it definitely did have. You could see some of the highlights here. XMS in that first tiebreaker game, 16 kills, 15 headshots, very much on point, and that meant a lot for EnVyUs to be able to get those entry kills when they were executing.
I agree with the T side, being where it was harder for them to get it done. The CT side, they have a more unorthodox CT style where they're much more passive than other teams. They do mix it up. You do see flashes into team mid and 2 guys in pop, but I kind of think unless you prepare for EnVyUs CT style, you might find yourself a bit shaken up early.
Right. Well, now we're going to have the vetoes ready, actually, so we can stop. We can get out of the theoretical realm, just kind of watch what's going to happen here. The first 2 bans are going to come out. Neither teams with that overpass ban that you mentioned, Yanko, Cash and Mirage taken out.
Yeah, this is like the 2 maps. So, for example, Liquid plays Mirage, Envy plays Cash, and the opponents really don't do it as much. So, by vetoing this, you eliminate the strong pick for your opponents, and now you only get maps that both teams really do play. I would expect here Envy to pick Train and Liquid to pick either Nuke or Cobble, depending on what they're prepared for.
Yeah, I think Cobble can be a pick for either team. Yeah, Liquid are going to grab it, and then Train being the second map. I'm interested that Envy picked that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I thought more so they would go with that Nuke. I think they have more depth on it. I think European teams play Nuke much better. And that maybe a bit of a gambit choice by me, but maybe Train's a safe bet.
I think it's also a matter of them knowing with a lot of confidence that Nuke will end up being the third map, right? Because here, this is actually where the order in which you veto matters a lot, because the team that vetoes first can have the luxury of gambling a little bit and vetoing Inferno as Liquid do, because they know that Overpass, it has to be like EnVyUs' ban in the end. So this is where Liquid basically got to pick between Inferno or Nuke, and Nuke is really a stronger map for them, so they do eliminate Inferno from the pool.
When we look at this whole set, we look at all the maps that are going to be played, Cobble, Train, and then Nuke. Who's winning this veto? Who comes out on top? Is there any kind of an edge to either team?
I think Liquid are in their comfort zone within this veto, whereas if Nuke was earlier up in the set, it would probably have been better for EnVyUs to kind of catch them off guard and potentially go for a 2-0. But it's very even. I think just a team like Liquid who don't have a deeper map pool. Actually, both teams don't really have super deep map pools, do they? So it's just an even veto, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is like the best for both teams, because you have 3 maps that these teams play. I would say that I would maybe favor Envy slightly, because I think they have a bigger advantage on Train than Liquid has on Cobble, which is their own pick. I think that, Envy has a higher chance of winning Cobble than Liquid has of winning Train. But still, I think across the board, it's a pretty even map veto, and I like it because teams didn't fall for that trap of we don't play Overpass, we have to ban it, because that would give a very, very strong pick to their opponents.
Yeah, well, the first map is going to be Cobble between these two things, and let us know who you believe is going to win. We have any NA fans out there going to stump for Team Liquid. Put it in the YouTube chat, count those up, get a lot of fun, get some voting. Who you guys think is going to have all the fans on this one? Liquid, Envy?
Liquid.
Ooh, nice. Well, let's focus a little bit on Cobble really quickly before the casters or before the players join the server. This map specifically, we've talked. Do you think it's going to be in a Liege comfort zone? What are we going to see out of the French side? The Envy side of things.
Unfortunately, double orbs. Well, Sixers plays with all towards the A-bomb site, and then Happy likes to pick it up towards B. I don't think that's the way to stop a Liege, right? If you have like an aggressive B long take where you're using a lot of Molotovs in utility, he likes to push through the smoke, so you can stop him in that area of the map. EnVyUs, I think, will be more powerful with their drop hold on their CT side, as opposed to Twist is the drop hold for Liquid, and that's a lot of pressure on a young guy, right? And that's a very key part of the map. So it looks like from time to time he gets left to his own devices there. If he gets pushed out of position and isn't having a good game, that could turn out to be a big weakness for Liquid.
I'm very interested to see how the individuals perform in this matchup, mostly for EnVyUs, because yesterday, or the last 2 days rather, they were the underdogs, right? No one really expected that much from them. Now they're in a position where you might even call them the favorites in this matchup. And how will they feel in that position? We see the likes of North, for example, when they get into the playoffs and they play against an underdog, they seem to choke a little bit if the game is close. That they get scared that the game is getting away from them. Will EnVyUs have what it takes? Will they be more dominant? Will they have more bravado, so to speak, to close out games? I'm very curious about that.
One of the big stories around Liquid at the moment, and it has been for some time, is their inability with Oppers. We've seen JDM have a very good tournament, and relatively to how we've seen in the past. How do you get an Opper involved on this map, especially something like this on the CT side? Because we always talk, this can be a very tricky map to get an Opper, put him into the zone, right?
As silly as it sounds, if you just get him to posture early on that T side, waiting for the A aggression, he's kind of useless come mid-round when you're taking the rest of the map territory because it's so close range. I think if you're going to do that, send him back towards drop zone, get him in there and allow him to pick out into the B side from there. It sounds a little bit risky, right? But it's one where players like Fallen have found it lots of... it's one where I think you can catch them off guard, and you can find a pick to a B platform player who might not be as disciplined. He's picking out from behind the box or whatever. I don't think B long is the best place for an AWPer to find picks on the T side.
I think as for the CT side, I actually think Liquid does a good job of finding ways to be aggressive still, even though it's very difficult to execute that on Cobble. They go for the pop flash on B platform immediately, where the player just pops up broken wall and tries to get an entry kill. They also like to do the boost up drop, where a player just waits for a kill and then they fall back. He doesn't get boosted up all the way. Things like that, where you also have mid-round B platform take, where you throw the deep smoke towards the exit for the T's and you kind of clear it out with incendiaries. So they try to find ways basically to be creative and to exert some aggression, some gambles towards the A side with 3-player stacks. So a lot of things that Liquid tries to do if they start losing to adjust. I don't think it's something that we will necessarily see from EnVyUs, as well as Chad pointed out. They're a more passive team by nature.
Well, there's a small delay with some of the players, so we're just waiting just a couple more minutes. Doesn't seem that big.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like a red flag quite yet. Let's do this.
We can talk more.
Yeah, we can talk.
We all like to
enjoy it, boys. You take Liquid, you take Envy.
Okay.
Who's the player to watch here? Who's the player that has to have a good game if they want to take this first map?
I think RPK has to continue his form, right? Because it wasn't just on the CT side, which is normally what he's known for as a rock player. He was also having a lot of impact on that T side. So he needs to show up on both halves for these guys to be able to continue through the momentum they've gotten. Can I have a secondary player, or am I only allowed one?
Take a secondary, Chad.
And then Scream just needs to just be
really.
consistent with his, some of the entry frags that he finds or the mid-round frags that he finds, because he has really good crosshair placement. If he's hitting shots and has good timing, that can snowball.
A lot of open spaces for Scream.
I'll take 2 players then as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go with Elige first because of, as you said, he's comfortable on Cbble, but it's not just that, it's his roles and his positions, right? On the T side, he's one of the first guys going in alongside Nitro, and that's like very important in those B executes that we're going to see all the time. Most of the time, that execute depends on the first guy going in and the duel he has with the player, close stairs or broken wall or something along those lines. And if he can get that entry kill, that basically opens up the bomb side for his team. On the other side, if he dies, then that player is probably not flashed anymore, then he can create a lot of problems for the rest of the team. Elige is that player on the CT side as well. He is the guy that plays close-up broken wall, so a lot of work for him.
You have about 10 seconds to just throw the name out of another player. You want
Nitro because they are the dynamic entry fragging duo.
The dynamic NA duo. I like it. Stage is set. First map is Cbble. It's going to go live between Team Liquid and EnVyUs. Bring you the action. It's Blue and Dazed.
All right, thank you very much, Moses. The match is just about to get started here as we get ready to start off our second quarterfinal of the day. It's Team EnVyUs taking on Team Liquid. Now the last hope for North America stuck here, and they have to fight it off against the French team. Dazed, how do we see this match going right at the start of it?
I think whoever wins Cbble is going to win the series.
All right.
That's what I think. I think Liquid is going to have a big advantage on Nuke, and I think Envy is going to win Train. So I think it's going to come down to Cbble, and both teams have looked good on this map. So, I mean, if, going by that theory, right?
Yeah.
Liquid wins Cbble, then I think it's going to go 3 maps. But I think if EnVyUs wins Cbble, I think they'll win on Train as well. Especially just seeing Liquid on Train earlier on in the tournament did not look good at all.
Yeah, Nuke when we get there for Liquid is where they actually start to look pretty good, actually, just the fact that they have a lot of experience on that map compared to Envy. They have like 5 or 6 maps there. But of course, we do want to remind you folks that the players are playing on Intel Core i7 processors. But let's now jump into the pistol round as Team Liquid starts off on the T side. Moving themselves forward, they are going to just basically merge into a default split, but taking fast control over towards A long. Scream, along with Sixer, are going to be over in the A bomb site to resist it. However, Scream is pretty far forward in a spot where he may just pick up 1 and then get traded out seconds later. Liquid, though, haven't solidified themselves on going for this A site just yet. As you can see now, they are shifting players around the map and sending the bomb along with 1 additional pickup over there towards the B push. So we'll have to see how they end up wanting to play this one out. We have a lot of aggression up on the platform, though, so they do have the early spot that there isn't any additional pressure working its way out through that avenue just yet. With a minute left on the clock, Team Liquid are going to want to start moving in as they go for this A pinch here, out through the window. RPK spots it, but not firing off just yet. He wants to see how many there are. The problem is, though, is that Elige is going to be able to spot him, eliminating him, and now Sixer's going to get overwhelmed, but he's able to hold for 1 pickup. Out of ammo now as he has to try to run, but Nitro cuts him off before he can get through the doorway. Scream's here to assist now as he also picks up a kill, but that's it. That's all he's going to be able to find as he goes down. 3 remain for Team Liquid, only 2 up for EnVyUs, but they're all at full HP, and they're not wasting any time with trying to get back out into this bomb site. XMS with the lurk coming outside of the shed. He's got JDM in that corner where he can kill him for free, and there we go. Even to get back out again, down to a 2v2. The players are going to try to push themselves up to broken wall, but Nitro denies that for XMS as he's eliminated, leaving everything down to Happy to clutch this one out. It's his turn to sneak up now where he may be able to find that 1 pickup for free, and indeed he does. 1 more to go, and he's running low on time. Gets himself into the battle with Stan, but Stan's being smart about this, wasting as much time as he can so that the bomb can explode. Happy really given no choice here but to attempt to chase this kill down, and even if he does get it, more than likely there's not going to be enough time left for that defuse. Picks at the kill, but indeed the time is too far gone, and Team Liquid will be picking up the pistol round.
Oh, it's a pretty interesting strat by Liquid, right? They take A Hall's control really fast with 3 guys that have half armor. Then those guys, they actually kind of split up a little bit, and Stan, who's holding the push at B and drop, goes back towards A, because he has the smoke and Molotov. So he kind of starts the strat, throws the smoke, maybe the molly or whatever, and then those guys can go down, drop, hit towards A, and just split the site like that. And, good for that pistol.
Yeah, so they are able to control that one. Everyone going down, of course, so full reinvestment into the second round. But it's going to be 3 UMPs and 2 AKs for the Liquid roster, whereas EnVyUs do go for the usual force. 3 CZs, a Deagle for Happy, and a P250 for RPK, wasting no time trying to get themselves inside. Good flash moves out, but JDM is able to dodge it and saves the day, preventing any additional deaths to his teammates there. Everyone stays alive, and they eliminate Scream and Sixer, once again taking that fast A-long control and forcing a 2-man rotate from EnVyUs. They will also get aggressive towards B and basically fully confirm the fact that most of the Liquid roster is sitting over here towards A-long and mid right now. But unfortunately, even though they have that intel, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to work off of it. Happy is the last bastion of defense here over on the A-bomb site, hiding in a very suspectable corner. So he gets pushed by 3 additional players. Finally, we are going to see a kill at the hands of XMS, but that will probably be the only kills. Now he's on the run trying to save this AK.
Yeah, I believe somebody jump spotted Happy in the back there, but that was a really impressive just control by Liquid. They do take it fast, but they took it methodically. Like, they threw the Molotovs, they threw the flashes. There was not much chance for Scream and Sixer there to really get anything done. Now XMS just going to try to save this AK. He's been really impressive. This land so far. Does get taken out by Stanislaw there, but he has been playing very, very well.
Yep, so they drop the gun, deny the save there. And now EnVyUs are basically going to be on your minimalist buy for the 3rd round. Just defaults for the most part here. You can see again how they started off with a fast A-long control, and JDM able to dodge the flash, picking up those 2 kills with no worries to start. And then the slow cleanup of the A-bomb site solidified the round after that. And indeed, EnVyUs do end up with only 1 purchase for the entire team, that P250 on Scream. Everyone else will be full saving here, and Liquid should pretty much have a walkover round. They're still going to take it nice and slow, however. They even have Stan up in, I think he's up in Rapunzel right now, watching to see if anyone tries to push outside. That nice little triple nade stack and a drop as well, as they attempt to find anyone that may be hiding out in there. The luck doesn't really play into their favor this time around, as most of the CTs are still hanging out in that transition room. But still taking it very slow, very, very tactically here, even though they're going up against a minimalist buy, using all these mollies and whatnot just to guarantee maximum safety so they can try to get as much money as possible before leading into that first gun round. And even now that they've worked their way all the way up to Broken Wall and haven't met any resistance yet from the EnVyUs side, they'll still play it slowly as they try to check to this corner down below. Watching out for any other areas that they may have not been able to nade back out just yet. Finally, Stanislaw is going to end up regrouping with the team, so I believe they'll be executing over these next few moments. And the defense force from EnVyUs, well, they are here. They have read into this correctly. The initial pop flash is a little bit whiff, but JDM again comes in to save the day, picking up 2, going for the 3rd kill. He doesn't end up getting it, but Elige, Nitro, and Stan moving for those last 3 pickups, and they do clean up the round for Team Liquid.
Yeah, they do lose 2, but even though they run to the stack, I mean, just USPs. So we'll see now on this first gun round what EnVyUs wants to do here. I do think, they're talking about on the analyst desk about where you put JDM as an op. I actually do like when the op is holding B as a T, just because denying plat control, and if he could stop plat control from happening, I think it's easiest with an op, is just so important. Like, that for me is the single most important thing as a CT if you want to just gain leverage in a round, is getting that B plat control, because then you could watch E-box with an op, you could watch B plat, you could usually shade someone over towards A. I think that's the biggest difference that I see on Cbble in just changing the way a round is completely played.
Well, for the moment, the op is going to be played over here towards the A-bomb site. Originally, Sixer did push himself out towards A-long, but his position has changed. He's now playing further back on the A-bombs, and I think towards the APC currently, while having Scream watch the exit towards A-main. The rest of the team, though, is grouping up, spreading across the map, as they might actually attempt to do that same drop split they did on Pistol Round again. The bomb along with Twist are stacked together over here, but a nice move from Scream as he gets aggressive in A-long. He is able to pick up the first kill while eliminating JDM. The other 2 that are over here are going to make their move now as they swing up, and actually maybe the reverse pinch now as they go in towards the mid connector, and the other 2 that were originally going to go in through drop are going to swing out towards B instead. So let's see, is EnVyUs going to be ready to defend this? So far, so good for them as they pick up a 2-for-1 trade within the site, now just leaving Nitro and Twist in the situation for Team Liquid. Twist is going to look to change his team's luck as he goes up on top of the boost box, finds the head of XMS and eliminates him, buying time for Nitro to be able to go for the plant. Unfortunately, Twist is not going to find any additional pickups, and while he'll get the bomb down, Molly will force him a little bit further back, not into the open just yet, but it is denying him vision on this right side. So fearing for his safety, he backs up a little bit more, lines up an additional headshot. Has to be careful, though. In a moment, Happy is going to push him from the right side, and that will lead to his death, as EnVyUs will pick up their first round on the first gun round.
Yeah, very clever, though, by EnVyUs, as they do end up with a team ace. Everybody getting 1 apiece. excuse me, clever by Liquid. So they just smoke off the right side. They run through connector. It kind of works really well against EnVyUs' setup because EnVyUs did have 3 fully committed pretty much towards that A site. Those 2 players get through connector, but EnVyUs, you know, they smartly recognize what is happening and they adapt to it really well. So even though there was only 2 on that side, I believe it was XMS and someone else, maybe Happy, I'm not sure. They're able to hold pretty well and end up in a 3v1.
So that does bring Liquid into their next buy, as thankfully they did carry through with enough cash in their first 3 rounds to be able to afford this for a second time. This should be it, though. They'll be running dry after this round to be forced either into a force or onto a full save. Nice and slow for this round, as they do just basically open up with a default, looking for a few picks if they can find them. And it's going to be JDM that gets the closest, but is not able to spot XMS from behind that smoke. Meanwhile, over towards the A side of the site, both Scream and Sixer playing together, with Sixer once again pushed up to the edge of A long with the op in hand. No one from the T side. Probably going to end up challenging that for the first few seconds here, as they will be playing it safe and making sure they use their own utility to safely get that control before moving in and risking lives in duels versus ops here. Finally, we do start to see Stanislaw moving in. Sixer not actually able to spot him at the very bottom of the smoke there, so he lets Stanislaw get through up to the suicide steps area, and that's going to force them to give up another quadrant of A long, pushing them even further back, as Sixer's now going to go all the way to the site. And Scream will once again just designate himself to be the player watching for the A-long presence. The entire team from Team Liquid, though, is going to move away from A-long now and push everybody into those B halls with a look for an execute out here instead. Still the solid 3-man stack. The additional player getting suicide and mid-connector control didn't really seem to force any additional rotates from the side of Team EnVyUs.
Scream just got pop flashed into mid, so he knows nobody's there. He's on the flank already. Sixer's going to be there for a fast rotate as well.
Yeah, he'll be here in just about 5 seconds. He is still going to have to jump hot into the match here, but Nitro picking up not only 1 kill against his opponent, but also one on his teammate. It's Stanislaw that moves in with 2 more entries from Drop, however, that gets the business done, as now it was only down to 2 of these CTs in the flank, has already given itself away. Scream moving in. A great pop flash, mind you. He moves in, picks up 1, picks up 2, almost gets the 3rd, but JDM will respond, now leading just Sixer in this fight, and he's not ready to battle against Stanislaw, who's already crouching and waiting for Sixer inside of Drop.
Yeah, Liquid dodged a bullet there. EnVyUs, like I said, so on the other side of the map, Scream got pop flashed in the middle right before that hit happened. So EnVyUs knew that they were coming, absolutely. But Liquid hit it just at the right timing, that even though EnVyUs did do that pop flash, they did get that map control and that knowledge that they were hitting the site, that they hit it and it was still 3v5. So they had really good timing on that. Well played by Liquid. I also do want to note that Sixer and on his screen, just because we saw him doesn't mean that he saw him. The spectator smoke is much, much different than what you actually see in the game.
Gotcha. So once again, battle's going to start pretty quickly here in the 6th round, with Nitro already moving in and been a skirmish against multiple players from EnVyUs as they try to push in aggressively on A-long, but so far with a relative unsuccessfulness upon it. It's now Sixer along with Scream are going to group up and try to defend this, but that little bit of aggression from Nitro in the mid-connector pulled all 4 remaining players from EnVyUs over to the A-bomb site and has now left it open, so Liquid is going to be able to walk in, find their plant, and that will pretty much secure the round. Very unlikely that with these types of guns, EnVyUs are really going to be able to retake, but they can still set up for exits and do some decent economical damage there if they're able to pick up 1 or 2 more players on the exit. That really comes down to these few key men trying to push their way in from T-spawn. That's mainly Scream, but he's the one playing with a USP, unfortunately, so he's not going to be able to get much done unless he's really close up. Sixer next up to bat here in the steps leading out towards mid, but he's already been spotted and now has to try and play into a bit more of a sneaky position down towards the bottom of those stairs, hoping to surprise in closer range. Doesn't work out, though. Elige survives the encounter with a little under half of his HP, and now just Happy stays alive, primarily looking, I think, to keep this Deagle in play. There's 1 and 2 pickups, though, from him. He will go down to Twists right before the round expires, but at the very least gets that damage that I'm sure the rest of the team is looking to do.
Yeah, and you know they force spot there, so well, not like a full force buy, but some pistol half armors. They're gonna save here fully. Liquid's gonna go up 6-1, you know, and it's only been like what EnVyUs has had 2 gun rounds.
Yep.
This whole time, so it just seems like they haven't had too much of a chance here to really do much, right? They won the 1 gun round, they lose the 1 afterwards, they get put back into hard ecos.
Yeah, there were 1-on-1 on gun runs at this point as they tried to go for a little bit more of an aggressive buy, so putting them onto another one here. And again, Liquid swinging through, pretty quick cleanup here. JDM is having some trouble with the elimination of RPK, but Twist moves in to assist upon that, and now just Scream and Sixer left alive. Scratch that, just Scream now in a 4v1 scenario. And he'll go down pretty quickly to a lead. She just pushes through to end the round as fast as possible.
And if you're EnVyUs, you don't want to get discouraged by this. I mean, they're going to take a pause, talk it over for a second. But, I mean, you know, Liquid has just had a stranglehold on their economy this entire game. It's the 8th round in, they've had 2 gun rounds so far. That's it. They're 1 for 1 in gun rounds in reality. It's not so bad, even though it looks very bad on the scoreboard. The actual reality is, I mean, they just haven't had much of a chance.
Yeah, no, they haven't, and now they're going to be able to get another one here, as this is going to be the next investment for them. Sixer even getting the op and whatnot, so they will be relatively fully bought into this one, but they need to buy a few more chances for themselves as they want to be able to come back, as this is where things get out of hand really quickly. If Liquid's able to not only claim this one, but the next one, it's propelling them up to like a 10, 11 to 1 lead at that point, and that's where it starts to become almost impossible for EnVyUs to even round the comeback there. They would need to win out from that point forward. But we are jumping back into it. As you know, on land, its pauses relatively quick. So in we go with EnVyUs having that next buy. They are going to be lacking quite a bit of utility, though, when you actually look at the buy fully. Scream should be able to pick up a few extra nades here. So they end up with 4 smokes, 2 mollies. It's not the end of the world, but it could certainly be a lot better. They don't have any HE grenades to stop any aggressive pushes either. So we're missing a key portion of the buy here. But for Team Liquid, they're not going to waste any time. Moving in with 4 players immediately to the mid connector and already finding an entry against Sixer as well. Down goes the op. Scream is next up to bat, and so is RPK as well, as he just swings out through the doorway. Neither of them get any kills at all. RPK and Scream both go down without any pickups. So now it's down to XMS and Happy, who are more than likely just going to end up falling back to save, as they were completely outmatched there, and they'll be given 0 chances on that retake.
I mean, just the change of pace, right?
Yep.
So the previous 2 gun rounds were pretty slowly played, kind of just biding their time, waiting. Then on this 3rd gun round, they just go very quick, rush towards A, win the round in 20 seconds flat, straight out of a timeout as well. So EnVyUs was probably talking about their setup. They're ready for this Liquid map control to come come into play, and then how they're going to stop that. Hey, are we going to take B-plat control? What are we going to do? What are we going to do to take away from these guys, right? And then Liquid just rushes them.
It works out great for them. Nitro immediately dropping the opper, and then they have RPK and Scream that attempt to respond to it further up the ramp here, but both, again, just go down. No trades at all. Even had, I believe this was Nitro here that didn't even have, it was Nitro. Didn't even have a rifle out of the time, but still, teammate support system was really good. And, I mean, overall, even on hunting down those last 2 players, the utility usage so far from Team Liquid is actually really good. They had that pop flash in. They knew exactly where one of the last 2 players was hiding out at, so they were able to take him out with no problems at all and end up winning the round with 4 players still left alive. This could be some trouble for JDM, though, as he is in the battle versus 2 CTs trying to push out against him. Up against pistols, mind you. We would have hoped he would have been able to eliminate one by this point, however, but he's still alive, down at 40 HP. There's the first pickup. I think that is going to send Scream back a little bit. Make sure that he can stay alive to fight for the site in the event that Liquid follows through with a push into A after that kill.
Pretty gritty kill there.
Yeah.
I mean, just, 4 shots or so.
Yeah.
Gets the job done, though.
Kills one and then pushes an opponent back. Twist apparently got dinked at some point as well, so he's now down at 4 HP. But they catch RPK trying to push out through mid. So maintaining the advantage and still keeping Liquid in a relatively safe position in this 5v3 up against just upgraded pistols and only 1 player now on EnVyUs having armor purchased for himself. We're just going to wait and see Scream trying to push out into this as well, but once again handled pretty easily by Liquid. Just not a whole lot of damage being done at all by EnVyUs on these eco rounds, unfortunately, as Liquid's taking it so slowly and so tactically. So unfortunately, EnVyUs, unless they find a hole in the defense that's set up from Liquid, they're not really going to be able to punish that too much. Like right here, they may be able to abuse it. He's expecting to find 2 players here, but still, Stan moves in, gets 1, still at 78 HP. The fake flash as well. XMS, he's in the cage, so he tries to leap out of it, but now Nitro is waiting for him right outside of the window, and that's where Liquid are going to punish once again, putting it up to 8-1.
Yeah, and a lot of inexperienced teams here, down 8-1 like this. What ends up happening sometimes that really works against teams is that players as individuals start trying to say, oh, I'm just gonna peek this guy. I think this is our best way to win the round. I'm just gonna peek this guy. I'm just gonna push, and they start doing all these individual plays, right? But more experienced teams will see how EnVyUs responds to this being down 8-1 if they stick to game plans and they try to mount a comeback, methodically and strategically speaking. JDM just gets wrecked by not only his own Molotov, but the CT's Molotov as well, down to 12 HP.
Yeah. So he's going to be out of the match for the rest of this one. And look at this aggressive push. Happy picking up 2 kills, but it gets traded back by Elysian. Now Stan moving in. He's got RPK blind, but RPK with the swing spins it around, eliminates Stanislaw. And all of a sudden, it's EnVyUs with a massive advantage here off of their aggressive push. Liquid was able to hold it for a moment there, but now losing Stan might have just put the nail in the coffin for them. They can still retaliate upon this, but with JDM down at 12 HP and Elysian at 56, it's not giving them a whole lot of bargaining room here. The only good thing they have going in their favor at this point is that Scream was left alone as the one singular player on the B-bomb site, while only having RPK outside of the window. They could very easily, they still have a smoke sitting on JDM, so they could try to pop that into the door, but from the looks of things, Team Liquid may not even be going for the B-bomb site anymore. They are going to swing it over towards mid. Try to take it over towards this site, where again, only one player sits to defend it. EnVyUs just going for the 1-1-1 split. And they do use that smoke in the doorway, but Elysian just running right up. He goes down, and so does the bomb. So now everything is on the 12 HP of JDM to try and clutch this, finding one, missing the shot that was going to get jumped up upon, and will very quickly be overwhelmed. RPK claims the final kill, and there we go. Another round on the board finally for EnVyUs.
And you see Liquid wanted to do a fast-paced strategy there, probably JDM leaping out for a pick or something like that, but just, you know, the counter Molotov that he threw. Molotov himself, the Molotov there, and then the counter push afterwards from EnVyUs kind of stops that strat just right in its tracks. RPK used his whole mouse pad there, by the way. That had to be like, that might have been a double swiper, you know.
The lifter.
Because RPK, I believe he uses pretty low sensitivity.
Well, now once again, both teams are going to be fully bought into this.
Yeah, back in the day, his sensitivity was super low, yeah, especially in Source. It was like
even for like just normal players, like.
Oh yeah, it was like 1.1, 1.3 on 400 DPI. It was very low.
Super low. So Molly's coming in from both sides into drop here, trying to deny that control, and it's going to attract more attention from the CT side. 2 players from EnVyUs sitting here trying to defend it now.
Liquid's showing like a really diverse playbook, though.
Yeah.
You know, they have that tricky strat where they go A, JDM died to Scream that round, and EnVyUs won that round. But they go through the connector. They had a, you know, a quick A strat, a quick B strat. They just did some drop presence, right, with mollies. Now EnVyUs doesn't know if they have drop control or they might give it up in that scenario. Like, they're showing a very diverse playbook here. Every round is very, you know, different.
This time, though, they're going to keep it simple, probably hitting directly into the A-bomb, so just having Stanislaw as a leader back over here at the A-long exit point. The rest of the team still trying to work their way in through the mid-connector. Molly's going to hit, but it's not actually going to stop him, and this is huge, because now they probably think A-long is safe. Stan has so much room to work with now. He should have been able to spot that player behind the shed. He's going to get flashed. That'll delay things for a second, and this peek coming out from the doorway is going to give him out, so they're going to know he's sitting here. Now, they might not actually. Scream's a little bit confused currently, but he wraps in, and he counters out the flank with those 2 big pickups. Now, XMS swings in, finds 3 right in the open, and Scream with 2 additional pickups ends up with a massive 4K, destroying the Team Liquid push.
Just insane stuff by Scream there. Kind of ends up working against Stan that he got into safety like that, because JDM, not worried about it. He figures, hey, if Stan's out there and somebody's there, probably would have killed him by now. Instead, Scream just comes, flanks him, gets a 4K on the round. All very nice shots. Do have a pause. Who was this by? Let's see. Liquid. So a pause by Liquid, and both teams, you know, money's going down a bit. Liquid's definitely going to get another full buy here. EnVyUs, though, if they do lose this round, is not going to have too much to back it up. Yep. So they'll probably buy even if they do lose this round. But Liquid, because the early game went so well, they go up 8-1. They built up such an economy behind it. Now it just becomes really difficult as a CT because you have to win gun round after gun round after gun round to make sure you don't get reset again.
Yeah, even after this round, Liquid could possibly try to force into it with like a Tech 9 armor buy or something like that as well, as they have a few players that are going to be sitting around like 5K-ish, a little bit mid 4Ks as well, so they could probably toss out a couple Tech 9s and then everybody else just buy up their individual armors behind that. So going back to the basics once again for this round, as Team Liquid does go for a straightforward play over here towards the B-bomb site. Obviously having to wait out the utility from the CTs currently, but actually, no, they're just going to go right onto the site, and that doesn't start off too well. Unfortunately, XMS doesn't realize that the molly kind of spread off from the top, so he burns as a result of Twist toss out. Nitro also finding an additional frag against Happy. He's pretty much cleared out the site, sending the remaining 3 CTs back behind the safety of the smoke to the doorway itself. RPK, he's able to find safety behind the rock temporarily. But with that secure of a hold, this is going to be rough on the retake now, especially with the smokes getting in the way of everything. So they have to use their own to buy themselves a little bit more real estate to get back into the open and try to start this retake, but with no one from Liquid biting, going for peeks or trying to hunt down any of the 3 remaining players, they basically just have to take a best guess at where they are. They did eliminate 1, so it's made it even again into another 3v3, and as they move in, Twist bails out his teammate hiding by Chicken Coop. That's Nitro, just barely staying alive until now when he goes down, and Sixer did tag 1 with the up. Unfortunately, they've run out of time and they need to escape. So do Team Liquid, and they're going to pick up the round, going up 9-3.
Yeah, just such powerful retake spots around the box, around the stairs, especially when you have a really, really good, just mechanical aimer like Twist is on that stairway. But again, like just another strat by Liquid, like more diversity to their playbook. This time they go straight B, but they throw the smokes to cut off the rotate while they take the site. I actually think that could have been EnVyUs' round had Happy gotten that kill onto Nitro. He shot a lot of bullets into him. I believe that was his own smoke that he was looking under. I doubt Liquid would just throw a smoke like that. He just wasn't able to connect on that kill by Nitro, and Nitro reacts really well to get that kill. That was like the deciding factor in that round, that kill. Happy stays alive there. The rest of the team was kind of disconnected from Nitro. I think EnVyUs probably takes that.
Well, nice shot from JDM. Just spots XMS there. He's able to pre-fire onto him in the corner. So he'll be eliminated right at the start. Only one of the players of the CZ, though, didn't knock out one of the big guns just yet. RPK also going to end up falling, and now only 1 pistol player remains in Happy. They still have the M4 up on screen, still waiting at the B-bomb site, and the op still sitting on A as well. That's going to need to be a quick rotate if they want to have any effectiveness for that. Otherwise, this is going to be a quick cleanup, and yeah, Sixer, not much that he can do in the 1v4 with an op. So we'll probably just sit over here towards A and look to save that as Liquid push their way into another round, and they're going to find themselves in double digits while in the first half.
Yeah, but it's just, you have that op that you saved. Sixer could win that round, but he needs to be more aggressive, be more assertive in that situation. That's not a round that you just play and let Liquid do whatever you want. When you have an op, you have an M4 and just a bunch of CZs around that. It's a very winnable round and situation. Sixer's just gonna get chased down by Nitro, but you need your opera in that round to make something happen. He needs to maybe take B long control and get a pick so you could stack A. Maybe get boosted drop and get a kill. Maybe push A long or something like that. He needs to do something, not just sit back and wait for Liquid to do whatever they want in a split setup.
And so now another pause is going to be called, assumably from Team EnVyUs. It would be the full reset now. They should still be able to buy into this next round with them still already going for the full save in the previous round, and obviously just having to save guns. But they're still going to end up in a really rough patch here. They've got players that are a little bit lower. Sixers down at 3,500, so they have to make sacrifices. There is another option that they could try to go for a half buy and then just have the full buyout going into the final round. But they do decide to force into it here. And as a result of that, you'll see a few sacrifices being made. 2 umps, 1 UMP already in the fray, and only 2 M4s, one of which is not going to get a whole lot of utility behind him. Nonetheless, it is a buy, and it's given Team Liquid going out back into this match as they set up, once again, appearing to go for another very direct play onto B, but it is going to take a few seconds to set this up as they do sit back and wait to see if EnVyUs are going to try to do anything aggressive first. JDM specifically, along with a few others, spotting that broken wall push. If they manage to get it up or something like that, they may try to go for it, but there's nothing like that on the CT side, so they're going to play in relatively standard positions. And since EnVyUs also got basically nothing thrown at them over at A long, they will already start to move their players back into those better positions. Scream's going to have to rotate in. They've already lost drop control here with that smoke in play, so they have to be very, very cautious of it as the players on B tighten up and get ready for the push that's about to roll in their way here from Team Liquid. But Liquid still hesitating now as they have that smoke in the way. A few other obstacles to worry about since they're basically a 4-man stack here now due to their delay. Nitro dropping back in, but a great pop flash hits them, rolling in from the outside. RPK is able to punish the first player that moves in a drop. As he's eliminated, now Stanislaw is going to look to make up for that with his slow lurk over towards the steps. XMS is going to be here challenging it. Another good pop flash completely blinds the entire pushing force of the platform, and XMS tries to move in, but denied by JDM. Elige also denied in drop, however, and with Happy with a second pickup and now third pickups from up on top of this boost box. Most of the hit has been dismantled. It's down to Stanislaw. He's found out in the open, and with that, EnVyUs are going to be able to pick up a 4th round.
Yeah, that was just great timing on those flashbangs. Kind of stops that B-plat control for a little bit. The flash push for RPK. I don't even think that was RPK's flash. I believe that was either Happy or XMS's that was flashed for him. Just popped right in their face. Because normally if you throw that flash for yourself in E-box area, it makes, obviously you throw it off the wall and it makes the noise, but if you have a player throwing it from around broken wall, then it just pops and can't be dodged. So now Liquid looks like they're going to take quick A control. I wonder if that was planned by JDM though. When he killed that player on the stairs, he jumped on his teammate's head. Wonder if that was planned or if that was just like, you know, off the cusp.
Might have, with the steps player right off the cusp. I think they were trying to spot up the smokes a little bit, was the original plan, but it worked out great for them to kill that steps player anyway. T's are going to end up grouping up through A long as they're back to, once again, just keeping it pretty simple here on a lot of these rounds. And they try to play it into just a direct A play through A long. They got that control. But we've seen in the past here, they haven't necessarily just gone straight forward into A after getting that control. They still have been ones to sort of fall back, play around with their opponents a little bit, and just try to sell a little bit of a fake here to keep a few of those players in the sight until it's fully confirmed that they're sending it the other way, which does seem to be the case again here for Team Liquid, as pretty much everyone has rotated back to the B halls now.
You see how EnVyUs plays their CT side, though. So if you're going to take A control, they send a third player there, and then they want Scream to fight you. And, you know, it's Scream, so he's usually at least going to get one kill. And then oftentimes what will happen is the T's will end up killing him, even if he trades, and they have 2 more players there. So it seems like that's their strategy on CT side when you do take, like, an A control like that with, you know, 3 or 4 players.
Well, now, with time getting low, Team Liquid is going to move in once again to try and execute. This time, they make the first mark, but RPK responding to it, tries to go for a second, but put down by Elige. He did great damage to him, though, before being eliminated by Elige, as he's now on 13 HP and happy. Next to Strike, goes for the double kill and picks it up, but goes down a second later at the hands of Twists. Now, even again, into a 2v2, but only 15 seconds remain to plant the bomb. Team Liquid has to focus on getting more control of this site, and that's why the deep smoke is still in play. JDM missing a very crucial kill, though, that could have secured the round. Has a second chance, though, and he strikes, finding Sixer through the door. But look at Scream. Nobody's paying attention to the sidewalk right now. Moves in, takes out JDM for free. And now only one remains. It's him versus Twist to clutch it out with an 11-4 lead potentially to be found. Twist does it and pushes in to claim that final round at the end of the half. And with that, Team Liquid are going to be able to push ahead in dominating fashion. An 11-4 lead is now in their favor. Stick with us, guys. The second half is coming up in just a few.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Lenovo Legion, Xfinity, ESCA, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, Logitech G, and Zowie.
North America holds strong for right now as Liquid shoot ahead here on Cobblestone in their first map of this best of 3 versus Team EnVyUs. 11-4 is their lead as they jump onto the CT side now. We'll have to see how they fare against EnVyUs' aggression. And the half is already going live now, so Days, let's take a look and see how things are going to end up playing out in the second half.
Yeah, that was a really good T side by Liquid, though. I'm not just talking about the 11-4 scoreline. They changed the strat, like every strat seemed different. Almost every round seemed different, gave them a different look. Really diverse playbook. Their trade killing was on point. Their clutches and 2v2s were on point. Their anti-ecos were on point. Like, that was just really well played by Liquid.
Now they have a chance to possibly just secure this map right from the get-go here if they can close out on this pistol and not get ecoed in the second round. EnVyUs going for fast control to beat bombs. And there's actually not a whole lot of presence from the CTs. They're basically just going to hand it over as they try to go in for a fast flank out on mid. This was the good news, though, but as they move in, Nitro may find himself flanked out in a moment here. He's given time to spin around, though, and deny on Happy, whose one job was to sit here and prevent this flank from happening. Now Nitro is going to be able to move back in, but Team EnVyUs is responding with their own bit of aggression as they push forward into drop to deny that control and deny the kills that Nitro would be able to get. JDM and Elige also go down just seconds later, so it's up to Stanislaw in a 1v4. Basically impossible here, but nice shot against XMS and Chicken Coop. He's got a lot more work to do, but look at this Stan. Rushing right up to the sidewalk. He gets one, taps onto a second. He's got a reload on Sixer, but he leaps into the air, and that's going to give Sixer the opportunity he needs to shut down the round for EnVyUs.
Almost Snacks-like, but just not quite.
That was insane. He just goes for it, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's very doable now for EnVyUs. Like, that pistol round, you could absolutely win this game. You just need to win the rounds at the right time. That's really all it's going to come down to for EnVyUs. Like, you need to win the important rounds. You have to reset their economy, but it's very, very doable.
Well, for Liquid, they're not actually going to go for a super aggressive response into the second round. They actually take it relatively lightly. Just the pistols, no utility or armor being bought up behind that. So it's going to be a pretty cheap round for them overall here. Average investment of about $500 for each player. So they should still be left over with about 1,000 or so. And that'll help give them a little bit of extra utility, potentially going into the first gun round 2 rounds from now. But they do just spread their players out, a little bit of a heavier stack towards the A-bomb site as they weigh 3 over there this time instead of usually putting that many on B. And posturing most of them up towards the exit to long A as well. So basically just solidifying them all in hopes of catching a big push out from A-long, but probably not going to be able to find that as EnVyUs, after toying around and holding up outside of A-long for a few seconds here, do end up solidifying most of their players in the B halls, where they're at the moment going to end up pushing out into drop and out onto the platform, where Elige is the one player that stands in the way, able to defend that. Quick rotate, regardless though, from Team Liquid. They are biting on this pretty heavily. Elige, nicely found, takes Scream out of the air, but Sixer responds with a jumping headshot to eliminate Elige. XMS happy, cleaning up after that. One more kill gets picked up by the CT side, but that's going to be it, as XMS and RPK do find those final 2 kills just a moment later.
Yeah, and the 5 SMGs completely counter that round from Liquid. You get a lot of money built up from all those kills. No head armor to deal with. It's a pretty clean round by them. Besides that nice shot by Elige there.
Yeah. So they'll end up in a little bit of a lighter buy this time on Team Liquid's own end. Just Elige and Nitro buying this time, as they do look towards the first gun round now. But they do have a big stack in an interesting spot on the map, too. Usually you'd see everybody on the site, but Liquid have advanced that position a little bit this time to have everybody stacked in the mid-connector, essentially, and I think they've got Stan at the top of Suicide right now. So a little bit more disconnected from the action, but still definitely a piece of the puzzle if EnVyUs end up biting into this. Now, in the meantime, we did see drop control be fully taken here, so I think EnVyUs are going to be aware of the situation, and as you can see, while they do take a couple of losses, they're able to clean this up pretty handily, and it's left to Stan now, who's going to get eliminated by XMS as he picks up the nice 4K there.
Yeah, Liquid will definitely have, good nades because they did double save, but they're going to have to win a couple gun rounds in a row in order to break EnVyUs' economy. And EnVyUs, they just need to, even if they lose this round, they need to just get a good amount of kills so that they could reset them in the following round. We're going to see a double op setup, though, come out from Stanislaw and JDM. So a lot of op presence coming out from Liquid early on.
And on EnVyUs' own end, they are just going to, again, play into that default here, splitting their players up and trying to make some noise over towards the B-bomb site. Keeping a light commitment towards A. No one really trying to challenge pressure towards A long or anything. They're keeping the bomb way back over towards mid. Happy will get denied as he tries to lurk slowly over towards drop. That'll be the molly from Twist utilized there. However, just a few seconds in, and Liquid has already used up most of their utility. Down to just 2 smokes sitting on Elige and JDM to try and defend the rest of these sites with. So for EnVyUs, going to start to press in, and it's looking like they may go for the drop split that Liquid was a big fan of in the last half. They do have the 2 players, both Happy and RPK, that are able to move in and take that control if needed. And for EnVyUs, they're still leaving a few players together to try and clear up the areas towards Suicide and A-long. But they do cancel the players towards drop. they have moved back over to mid, where they're regrouping with the main push. So Stan and Nitro have to defend this. They will have a quick rotate on its way from Twist if it's needed. Nitro only getting 1 kill, and Stanislaw missing his initial shot there, so he is pushed back further into the bomb site to try and defend from heaven, but gets deleted by XMS. Finally, a CT response does move in from JDM, but unfortunately they have let the site go fully into the control of EnVyUs here. So on full retake, a Liege on that flank, it's denied by RPK, and that pretty much kills most of the angles that Liquid had to work with to successfully move in and retake this site. Twist and JDM are going to have really no choice here but to back away and save as they let EnVyUs push up onto 8 rounds.
Yeah, but these 2 saves are very important. I mean, you could get, half armor on Nitro, Stan, a Liege. You could let JDM just buy like a smoke each if they're able to save these guns. And then not only do you have a good chance of winning the next round, but you could still buy the following round, right? So you could kind of play the economic game like that. But the way Liquid kind of just held A there, if Nitro doesn't get 2 kills there, I don't think you hold that. I mean, the flash blind Stan, Nitro's turned away from it, so he gets the 1 kill, he gets immediately traded, but then Stan essentially plays retake. He goes to CT Heaven, he's watching long wall. They're coming up from middle though, so they just go through APC. They basically have the site for free, right? And generally speaking, I mean, a good team on that A-take, they're gonna have a nice pop flash when they peek that Heaven as well. And you're usually not going to get a kill unless you're relying on that other team to mess up. So you're not really holding to play that, playing to hold the site, really working against them because if Nitro doesn't get those 2 kills, their chances of winning that round are really slim in my opinion.
Yeah. So pause being called from Team Liquid as they have been against the ground here. Relatively quick pause. We're already going live again. Looking at the overall investment this time from Team Liquid. They do decide to buy into it at a last-second investment. It wasn't until 5 seconds that we saw them really going for the full pickup here, so it is a later decision that they've made. Just able to get a few SMGs in the shotgun for Nitro, and then the 2 saved guns sitting on Stan and JDM.
Yeah, so you have some options, like I said. They just go for the full buy, though. They don't leave any money except for a little bit onto JDM.
Once again, EnVyUs just playing into the default here. So spreading their players out across the map. We'll start to see them move in a little bit to take that A-long control. XMS first up to bat here. So swings in, and JDM missing a very crucial shot that could have given them the early 5v4 advantage. Still able to escape with his life, though, and now over here on the ramp, he does miss the push from the left side. He's got a good position, unfortunately, peeks right into Screamin'. Nitro, oh, this is awkward. Still picks up the first kill, though, before he ends up going down to Sixer right after the fact. So ending us up in a 3v4 scenario, and Twist kind of putting himself into his own grave, potentially now. At 2 HP, just barely gets that smoke out in time, but they're going to know he's floating somewhere around this corner. His teammate up on top is trying to bail him out a little bit, but ultimately, he's going to have to swing in, and he's very easy to eliminate, so there's Scream with the pickup there. Just leaving Stan and a Liege in this fight, and again, they're really given no choice but to give up here. It's a 2v4. They don't have a lot of utility to get back into the site, and they don't really have anyone on the flank or anything either, so they'll just give it up and let EnVyUs go up to 9.
Surprised that Liege chooses the MP9 over the ump in that situation. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the way Liquid bought there. Like I said, I think it's better if you just have like ump half armor on those 3 guys and you buy this next upcoming round, or just pistol half armor and play it like that and just see if JDM can kind of make it 4v5 and then you could overplay a site or something. Instead they just go for it, and assuming they're going to save well, they could, JDM get an op and they could kind of do the same thing. I don't know, they have options, right? They have options with the way the economy is playing out and how many rounds they want to buy. But it's just dangerous because, even if you win this round, see, the problem is when you rely on buys like this, a lot of the time you end up winning the round, but you might win with like 1 alive, and then they just win the following round, and all of a sudden EnVyUs is tied up.
Well, this is like 2 rounds now where they've just been completely out of class. It's like EnVyUs just going to the site, and it's almost an immediate call for the last 2 alive to save.
Yeah. Both times at A so far, both gun rounds, they've taken it really clean.
So it is making me question if these investments are worth it for Liquid if they're going to keep running into situations like that. EnVyUs is probably going to end up changing their game plan this time, however.
I mean, it's a difficult decision to make every time. It really is. But when you have the rounds to play with, I like a little bit more conservative, you know, buying like I kind of mentioned, I guess, but to each their own.
Well, EnVyUs once again getting ready to go for this play here. Trying to wait out the smokes a little bit, but EnVyUs with a really good position. Multiple mollies. That's like second one in a row. That just got tossed into his smoke. Flashbang hits EnVyUs there, so he's forced into his smoke, but only one player can get out. The players that do get out, though, are picking up kills. RPK finding one and a second now, but EnVyUs swinging through that smoke. Denied by Sixer, however, as he's only able to pick up one, leaving just 2 CTs in the situation. They're going to be tired of saving, though, so Stanislaw is boosted up on top. You can just barely spot over the smoke. I don't think he was able to spot RPK. I think he's safely tucked away behind the rock, so they're not going to realize that he's in the open there. And once again, last 2 alive, forced back, and they're going to have to go into a save.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking the sites clean seemingly every time. RPK kind of bypasses a Liege. I think he was able to kill JDM going, you know, he might not even have been ready for that, right? Since the Liege is kind of going in the smoke. His teammates going in the smoke, but a T's coming out of the smoke. It's one of those weird scenarios. And EnVyUs, they're just taking sites pretty clean, man. Everything's just a retake for Liquid. They take the sites with 3 or 4 alive. Good post-plant positions. I mean, not much you could do in that case if you're a CT. And so far, 6 rounds in a row. So we're going to see a pause come out from Liquid. They got to reevaluate the situation. Yeah, so RPK, he was the first guy out. And look at the position he gets in.
He's the first guy that ran off a broken wall, too. He just gets himself out there solo, and I think the other 2 that were supposed to go with him got held back by a molly.
Well, a lot of the time, you have your drop player kind of watch that as well, but Twist gets a kill into drop zone, and he's watching that, and he went down to like 10 HP, right?
Yeah.
So he's not really looking to take gun battles after that happens. And I'm pretty sure RPK, I'm pretty sure they had no idea he was there. Like, I think he just ran through. EnVyUs was running through the smoke. He runs out of the smoke. Confusion on Liquid's side. Just gets 2 free kills to just open up the site.
Well, through building up the losing bonus, Liquid are going to be able to force into the buy again. This time with double ops, actually. But they're still going to have quite a few downgrades as a result of forcing into it with players still being low at around 3,500 each. So you end up... Actually, I think they ended up buying an extra ump because I saw 2 umps in there at one point. So there's probably one still sitting on the ground by CT Spawn. So that might have been a little bit of wasted cash. But look at how quickly EnVyUs is going for the push this time. They even catch the player moving into Chicken Coop before he even gets there. So they know they have one there. They'll work on burning him back out. But JDM's still able to find impact from within inside of it. As he's got the smoke, keeping him safe for the time being. With Twist additional pickup, it's going to make it rough for EnVyUs to ring to come back, but they've just found their first trade on Sixer. Bomb on the ground, though, so Liquid can keep everyone here. They know they're not going to be able to try anything tricky, and they have to brawl for this site if they want to have any hope of picking up this round and tying up the game score here. But Liege, sneaky, is able to spot the boost from Happy, taking him out, and now leaving just 2 in this situation for the T side. Both stuck up on top of the platform with no safe way to get themselves down. Now Sixer has been lit as well. He's down at 22 HP. Have to try and play it back. Use coverage to his advantage here and really just have to scream nice shots onto Nitro. And Sixer finds the pickup as well. So now he's brought it down to a 1v2. Is he going to realize that Twist is sitting right below, though? Might have spotted him there, but oh, Twist just walks right into his crosshair, so now this is going down to a 1v1. Stanislaw having to clutch this. Now, Sixer's been given the room to move up to the site and be able to go for the plant, but actually he might just look for the kill. He's got to react quickly, though, because Stanislaw's here, and he's ready to fight. Wins the initial battle, and he follows through to clutch out the round for EnVyUs as he picks up a massive 4K, and you can see it there on the bottom left. He's hyped.
I mean, it just went from bad to worse to just awful for Liquid there. It's 2v4. They both decide to challenge right here when they have... Don't they have the bomb down? Yeah, they had the bomb down site. These are such T-sided angles. When you're fighting Scream at the stairs at a headshot angle, first off, Scream could have just won the round by himself there. Like, you're fighting Scream at a headshot angle, which is like the most Scream angle possible. Why would you ever challenge him there? You're lucky he only got 1. And then you're challenging an opper around the brown boxes, which is a super, like, good op spot, while you have the bomb down site. And in that situation, when you're Liquid, as a Liege is boosted up and does kill Happy there, that's a good start to this round for Liquid. But in that situation, you need to win that round, and you need to win it clean. Because you're not just playing for that round, you're more so playing for the following round. You do not want to get reset if you lose that following round. You want to make sure you have good money coming into that, so you have a really good chance.
And they had a potential for that sit up there, but going into it...
Yeah, that was pretty bad in a 2v4 from Liquid.
So with that thrown away, EnVyUs now not only have the tie, but they have the potential to take the lead right here. Obviously, the one nice kill from a Liege already happened, but They did not retrieve the AK from up on top there. It was still a little bit long range for him to rush out and get that. So EnVyUs still have the overall advantage here, just making sure they don't walk into another trap like that and lose players, which they do. Stanislaw picks up a second frag now. XMS will be able to trade that back out. So we finally see one pickup for them. However, this is where this can get a little bit out of hand if EnVyUs don't solidify now and start to make up for those mistakes. They'll shift away from A long for now.
See, they're all inspired by Twist CZ. They all have the CZ from yesterday.
After that insane play happened.
They were probably just like, dude, I gotta get on this guy, man.
I think it was so crazy. He did that all in one clip on the CZ too. But Elige is gonna find yet another pickup as he goes hunting for the AK. JDM gonna walk right up, kills another player. So all of a sudden, RPK's got to clutch 1v4. There's one. No, that was the easy trade. The next three are a little bit tough, as he's got to deal with multiple angles, and he doesn't have a whole lot of coverage to play off of here. Just has to hold behind the statue and the walls that follow it to pick up these kills. But there's the first attempt at it, going for an Elige. Takes way too long to find the frag, and Elige is given plenty of time to pick that one up. So Liquid do find a little bit of light, and with that, they'll be able to keep their lead, upsetting in just this half-by round.
Yeah, it all starts from that just early pickoff by Elige in the drop room. Then they kind of go into their stack a little bit, and JDM rushing down the planner was a really good play as well. So they lose the 4v2, but they win the round that they're not supposed to win, just the pistol half armor.
Makes sense.
And EnVy's economy isn't like insanely good or anything. So they definitely have a good chance. I mean, they're going to get a bye round after this regardless. So that was a pretty huge round by Liquid.
So that was 7 rounds straight on the T side, I believe, before we finally saw Liquid being able to pick up a round there. But it saves them, keeps them in the match, keeps them in the lead, more importantly for right now. The potential for them to be reset right here if EnVyUs comes back into full strength with their ability to take fast control of these sites that seem to suddenly go away just on these last 2 rounds there. Nitro with a nice early spot gets the player down below, but actually doesn't kill the one on top, interestingly enough. Happy just barely keeps himself alive with 12 HP and escapes that battle for right now. Still, that's a good find early on. And it's definitely going to hurt EnVyUs in the long run here, as now they have to make up for this, look for other options on their first entry kill, as Nitro doesn't even take a whiff of damage in response to going for that spray.
Yeah, and they have 3 players over at this A site as well.
So utility is going to be tossed in by EnVyUs as they try their best to smoke this off, but Molly getting right in their way completely denies the long push where most of their players were pushing up from. They get flashed on ramp. This is what I was talking about before with Liquid having just this great utility usage throughout most of this game so far, and they're going to continue that trend. RPK moving in, he gets flashed twice right there, making it easy for Nitro to pick him up. Elige moving in, Nitro with another assist as well, and now just down to 6er here in a 1v5. No way he's going to be able to do anything about this, and you can see he's getting pelted down. Just find a nice response shot on a Twist, at least doing a little bit of damage here. But at the end of the day, this round, oh, he steals a second one here against JDM too. You've given him these individual battles. This is what led to the clutch last time. They don't want to let this happen again. With 20 seconds, Sixers feeling it. Thinking about going back in, or at the very least keeping the attention of the CTs to maybe pick up a few more kills here as the timer dwindles down. But Liquid, I think, is wanting to wait this one out and then kill him post-timer now, but they'll have to find another route as they just got smoked out a day long, and they definitely don't want to challenge that up in a full-out 1v1 again.
Yeah, just a difficult task, especially when you're RPK there. You see you have almost no chance, right? You're going through from APC on the left side of it. Nitro gets a kill, almost 2 kills. Happy ended up with 10 HP, but RPK has to clear heaven. He has to clear site there. It's just an impossible task for somebody to complete in that situation. Nice round by Nitro there.
Yeah, really solid round from him as he essentially gets the 4K. The assist he got was the one player who brought down to 12 HP. So pause has been called, of course, by EnVyUs. Both them and Liquid, I believe, are both down to 1 pause at this point.
Yeah, and they're going to get a buy here. RPK has 10,000, 38, 4,000, and 4.2 on XMS, so they're going to have a pretty decent buy here. A couple people won't have too much utility. Well, I guess he could drop Scream, so they should all have full utility. It's just XMS who has AK and just 1 smoke, but now's when you want to just bring out like your bread and butter, like the strat that you're just most confident in if you're EnVyUs. But they need to make sure that they don't get picked off here by JDM, who's just taking B plat control. And like I said, I think this is like what changes rounds the most is when you're a CT and you have this plat control like this, you could dictate your defense so differently. You see the drop player in Twist, where does he go? He goes more towards the A side. Because if JDM needs to, he could just peek E-box and just own people coming there, right? He still has support from Elige, but Elige could have freedom to kind of rotate out a bit if he wants. And instead he pushes up even further. That could be a quick flank.
Yeah, as he has that positioning to work with here now, the rest of EnVyUs are still looking to move back in over here towards the A site, but you already have that early rotate moving over and twists. And in a moment, I think JDM may rotate in a second here too. I think for now, JDM is just going to keep eyes on drop, just to make sure there's no attempt to split out and kill them when they rotate. But EnVyUs holding all 5 here. Liquid knows what's going on, so you can start to see the Molly responses moving back in. The Molly's actually not in that great of a position, so they can just walk right past it and now start their push onto this bomb site, where Twist is still looking over there in the hallway, and both the initial defenders go down here. Twist as well out of the fight, and now Nitro down and out. So there we go. This is the EnVyUs we were seeing earlier on in the half, where they were just dominating these bomb sites. So Elige and JDM, they have nothing to do. They got to save.
I mean, if you're Liquid there, you have the positional setup, right? You have everything you want. You have 3 players. You have Twist basically at A. He was so ready to go towards A, and they just take the site clean. But I mean, as far as like 5v5 CS is concerned and where players were positioned, they had a huge advantage coming into that round.
So now it is just JDM trying to save the op, so they'll have that to work with in the next round. I don't think anyone's at a cash point where they could actually rebuy this if it goes down. Legs, another player, is going to try to get a little bit more aggressive. He actually finds safety and drop as he outruns everyone from EnVyUs, but he's still getting pushed inside. Defends for 1 pickup, but didn't expect for XMS to push into him that quickly, so the op does indeed get dropped onto the ground, and EnVyUs will put themselves within 1 round of tying this back up again.
Yeah, both teams' economy is going to be pushed to the brink right now, I think. EnVyUs might have a little bit. Is Liquid really not buying here?
They had like 5K on 2 other players, didn't they?
Wow, that's really conservative. I'm very surprised they didn't buy her.
Yeah, just look at the money on the top there. That's so much left over. I mean, obviously, there's some players that are really low, but
just conservative. I mean, maybe they just feel like they really need like good utility on that CT side in order to win those rounds.
So they're essentially, unless they can upset again on a CZ round, they're gonna give EnVyUs the chance to tie up the game now, bring it to 13-13, which is dangerous at this point with EnVyUs coming back into form on that last round.
Happy does not want to let Elige kill him again. I'm pretty sure he knows. Yeah.
They HE, they molly him to push him back, and it finally works. So they've got clearance finally to move over towards drop if they want to. But in the meantime, we have this nice 3-man stack from Liquid back over here near Suicide Steps and Long A that actually could do decent damage to Envy if they're not paying attention to it. They're going for this big push right inside now, though, and they've already eliminated 1 player. JDM looking for a response. He does decent damage, but can't find the kill. And the same fate will be had of Nitro as they'll clear that out. And now leaves just 2, the 8 players alive and well in this fight. Elige, however, already brought down low from what happened earlier with that HE and Molly. He's down at 51 HP, just got smoked out again. But EnVyUs are smart. They know that they probably are going to rotate in that direction, so they just take it back over to B, where there is going to be an open site. And that should solidify the round, putting them up to 13-13. And I don't expect anyone to really end up going down here. Happy may end up finding himself dead, lurking in A. But that maybe 1 more at most is going to be the damage you'll end up seeing against EnVyUs here, and that will help to start to reestablish their own economy as they try to get this lead going back in their favor again. They managed to knock out Elige or keep him in 1 corner, but like I was saying, Happy does end up finding himself going down on the lurk there, so that's an AK in the hands of Liquid, saving that extra cash, and will definitely enable for possibly another out by now with the money that they were working with. So for Twist and Elige, just going to hide in the mid-connector, and EnVyUs nowhere near hunting them down. So we should expect that AK to probably be saved heading into the 27th round.
Yeah, Liquid did the exact same eco round that they did before, but without that early kill on Elige, you know, they were very ready for it. You saw how EnVyUs was clearing everything. They were ready for the players in the stairwell. They were danger. They were ready for Elige to drop. Like, they had a good idea of what they were doing, and they weren't going to make the same mistake again. So now we see another pause, I believe, from Liquid this time.
Yep. This is their last one. So definitely buying into it this time. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the last round, they had more than enough cash last round, but they just wanted to make sure everyone was 100% fully bought into it going into this round here. This is the one that could very well decide the fate of it. At the very least, who gets up to 15 rounds first.
I mean, if I'm Liquid here, I say, hey, I know we lost the round when I took B plat control, but it's not a round that we should lose. Like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this B plat control. We're going to have 3A, and this time if they come A, you guys are going to hold it. Like, simple as that. Because you're fine with losing a round like that. I mean, obviously you're not fine with it. You want to win the round, but you're saying, tactically speaking, like, if we lose a round when we have an extra player at a site, you know, I'm not going to be pissed about that. We just got to, you know, have a better setup.
So into the round we go.
Looks like that's exactly what they're doing. They smoke in the middle. Elish has plat. They have 3 towards A. We'll see if he peeks towards upper B at all, or if they just completely gamble it.
Right now it's Elish taking control up towards boxes on B, so they have been able to cheat that third player over early and hold that control there due to the aggression on the B bomb site. Scream along with Nitro will sit on opposite sides of the wall to each other as Nitro prepares to fend off the hit that'll be coming on ramp in a moment.
I think they want to flash through the smoke right after the smoke. I almost guarantee they will.
Happy already boosted up on top of his teammate trying to spot through it here. And now they're not going to be able to hunt anyone down. They won't find anyone close enough. As the only other player on this side is JDM, but he's a little bit further back in the actual spawn zone for the CTs there. So now JDM is going to end up getting flashed, screamed, picks up not only the initial kill onto Nitro, but also finds Stanislaw. There's a response from JDM, but now he's stuck. Still makes the second kill happen, though, before going down to Scream, as he's the only one to pick up kills so far for EnVyUs. But the damage has been done. They bring it into a 3v2. There's not really time for all that much saving anymore here for Team Liquid, considering that they waited this long for the investment. They'd have to go for it now. They've got the flank from Elish. Twist trying to distract, but I'm still not sure if they're going to end up trying to actually re-enter or if they'll end up just posting up for exits here.
What a beast. 3K entry with 100 health. 2 of those kills are against players close CT mid. Like, that's a spot when you're the CT and you're playing in mid, as Elish is still going for it, 2v2. Take it away, Boo, sorry.
So Elish is going to move in, able to finally put Scream down onto the ground. Now it's Twist's time to shine, though, but he misses the shot, and Elish at 19 HP. He's also going to get knocked out by RPK. That's EnVyUs finally taking the lead against Liquid.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they did try to push into mid there. I hope we could see how Scream gets these kills. Nope, just runs out and destroys them. Both players blind by his
own
flash.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just bad communication by Liquid, though. You know, that should not happen. That should be like a kill 9 times out of 10. Scream should not get 1 kill. And the other time, he should get 1 kill and then get immediately traded. Like, that should not happen.
JDM is going to find some luck at the beginning of this round, catching Scream, continuing his aggression into the next round by trying to push into mid-connector early on, so they find an early 5v4. Keep in mind, though, he's got the only real big gun for this entire team right now. He has that up. Everybody else is on either a shotgun for Nitro or an SMG for the other 3. Nitro knows there's pressure coming his way, though, so he's going to get aggressive, pushes in, just clips one at the edge of his shoulder, though, so it's not going to do that much damage at all. And Sixer peeks in from the other side to put him down on the ground, leaving only JDM currently to defend this A-long push. Now, they have cheated, I believe it's Twist, over to the A-bomb site to help out here, but that leaves only Elish and Stanislaw to defend the entire B-bomb site if EnVyUs will swing in that direction, and only with SMGs as well to play with. EnVyUs are keeping their options open, however. They, too, are also split up 2-2 across the map currently, so there is still a potential for Liquid to swing back here and upset upon this round, keeping them in the game at a 14-14 scoreline.
Yeah, just pretty unfortunate for Nitro. That's the type of death out of the worst. Just Sixer, good cover though. You know, and I do want to point out, like, Scream, there's no way he thinks JDM has an op there. That's one of the reasons he's peeking that. And again, man, Sixer is playing lights out.
Nice shot. Didn't even look like he was fully peaked for it, but somehow finds the kill into JDM. RPK knows he's got Twist stuck in the corner here. Twist still holds on for a second pickup there, but will ultimately end up going down. However, Elish back into the fray. All of a sudden, it's a 1v2 with Sixer hunting the head of Elish. He can't find it. And I don't even think he knows that Stanislaw is this far out right now, so he can just walk right up. Well, he had the chance a moment ago to kill him, and oh, Sixer almost had the angle he needed to no-scope Stan, but Stan doesn't complete the kill, so Liquid will stay in this game for at least one more round as they go 14-14.
Yeah, there's no way Scream thought he had an op. You know, why would he have an op in that situation? They just, you know, went around that they were bought, and he just has an op the next round. Doesn't economically, you know, you wouldn't expect that at all. So he gets caught out, makes it 4v5. Look, it ends up winning that one. Yeah, that
That's
that
unfortunate.
sucks. That's where you're on tilt after that.
Yeah, went through the wall and everything. So last pause of this match being called by EnVyUs now. They're going to use their final pause. Where are they at, economically speaking? They're pretty good. They should easily be able to buy this time.
Yeah, Sixer's been playing like a beast, though. I mean, he had that huge 1v3. He's been consistently getting frags to even the couple rounds that EnVyUs has lost. He's gotten a lot of frags to at least hurt their economy a lot. You know, it's like he's been very impactful this game on this T side. Didn't have the best CT side, but as soon as we got to CT side, him and Scream have just been beasts. RPK had that one round when he went out B, got those 2 entries, but besides that, I mean, Scream and Sixer have been the main driving force behind this T side. But we are at 14-14. They're gonna they had a chance for a double upset. They could have had the double up if they wanted to, but Stan just decides to keep the AK, drop it to Elise there, and upgrade to an M4. So they just want the single up.
Yeah, and EnVyUs will pretty much empty out their bank accounts for this round too, so going all in on this one. This could be it. This could be the decider right here, as the next team that loses this, or the team that loses this round, I should say, is going to end up on a pretty piss poor bye if they end up dropping the round. So, taking a look at the early pushes from EnVyUs. It's looking like once again that they'll try to move in towards mid connector and A long to seize control there. Only looking really at Stanislaw being able to defend things, but he's pretty far back. This boost up from Nitro there, the position I should say taken from Nitro, kills the boosted up player. Happy, he goes down, giving Team Liquid the early man advantage in this fight, and also spotting out that early aggression. EnVyUs has not really been one for fakes so far, so this should give them a pretty clear sign. They're already going to be able to cheat the third player over because they got aggressive on platform. No flank or no one was lurking over to try and keep the possibility of a B push alive, so now Liquid have started to push their way in. Elige is already pushed halfway through the platform, and in a moment, JDM is going to fully commit to the rotate as in comes EnVyUs to try and get themselves control of this site. RPK evens it back down to a 4v4, but they've got this cross spray to work with here. Twist doing some good damage to himself, and when he goes down, Nitro leaps into action. He will get eliminated, keeping things even into a 2-on-2, but now the rotates are on the way, and they will have to deal with that in a moment. Nade coming in from the top side deals some decent damage to Sixer. He's not done at 58 HP, whereas both the members of Liquid are still at full. And Elige also has that Molly to work with still, which is a very powerful weapon, considering that they've gone for the safe plan over at A. They could just toss it into the corner, get Sixer into the open, and there's their first free kill right there. And here we go. The Molly should bring Sixer out into the fright, but he still makes an impact as he's had a little bit of coverage to work with sitting behind the Molotov. XMS comes out from A-Long to shut down the round, and there we have it. EnVyUs will follow through 15-14, and look at the money from Team Liquid.
Yeah, terrible money on Liquid, and Sixer is just playing lights out. I mean, he has stepped up.
Massively.
Huge, this T side. Just huge.
Yeah, pressured even as the Molly to force him into the open.
I mean, the shot on Nitro, like, that's a quick shot by him. Like, that saved the round to even put them in a 2v2. If he doesn't hit that under pressure shot, they lose that round for sure.
Yep. So that brings it down to 2v1. Even if the one trade happens from A-Long still, then more than likely there's plenty of time for his teammate to be able to respond to that.
Yeah, but those are the shots that, like, dictate rounds. Shots like that. And Sixer showing, at least in this game, that he's like a very, very capable opper. And I think some people would probably, myself included, kind of doubt that a little bit going into this game. But under pressure, he has hit really nice shots, and like shots that you need your opper to hit if you want to beat really good teams.
So everyone from Team Liquid spreading themselves out, taking a gamble essentially on the A bomb site being the site of choice, but they've made the wrong selection, and EnVyUs are possibly about to walk right in and take control of map number 1 here. Elige can't get anything done. He's completely flashed back out. The rest of the team also pushing in. There is a response from Twist, but it's short-lived. He's taken out by Scream just seconds later. And now 4v3, retake potential so low here. JDM jumping, almost lost that 1v1 in itself. He does get one before going down, but still ends up knocked out of the round and is not going to be able to help his team anymore. Stan walks into his own death. The Sixers waiting for these flanks to work their way in, and now everything falls to Nitro in a 1v3, and he only has the ump to play with. Gives him the smoke on sidewalk to push back in, challenging Scream on the flank, getting that kill, but still having so much more work to do. The nade giving him some coverage to push on XMX, but it doesn't matter, as XMS is going to shut it down, giving the map to Team EnVyUs as they take it 16-14, claiming map number 1 here on Cobblestone.
Yeah, just both teams with really good T sides, but EnVyUs T side was just a little bit better. You know, Sixer again. I mean, I think him and Scream, just kind of like a dynamic duo there on that T side. Scream getting the entries, Sixer continually hitting under pressure shots to close out the rounds, and just clean site takes by them.
Hitting just getting so many crucial kills, even on like entries and whatnot too. Sixer was a huge part of the victory there, and definitely helped to push their team back as they were behind. Even from the halftime, they started off pretty far behind. It was 11-4 at halftime. They went on that massive like 6-round streak before they ended up eventually taking a lead and closing it out. So we're gonna let the analysts take it from here to break down map number 1.
Thank you, boys. Welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk. Yes, map 1 looked all but secured for Team Liquid after that first half, but Counter-Strike is a 2-half game.
Thanks, Jason.
Isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
I thought Danish CS is a hell of a drug. NACS.
Welcome.
The initial the initial drug is coming back. It's way worse.
It was the first of all the Counter-Strike drugs.
Very unfortunate for Team Liquid in this game. I think both teams had good T sides, but I think actually it was in the end Liquid having a weaker CT side, basically making more mistakes and allowing EnVyUs to get these openings and punish them for it. It started off amazingly well for Team Liquid. Great to execute that B split with like smokes on the right side of APC towards long gate, towards stables. Even though they lost the round, it was pretty cool to see, but still they had great change of pace, were in control of the economy for almost the entirety of the first half and really like putting a lot of pressure on EnVyUs.
I think the battle lines in the green room were pretty clear. I was on the EnVyUs side. You two were clearly going for Liquid, and I never lost faith, even after that first half.
You just
saying that on stream.
You just didn't really talk, did you?
I was watching.
I mean,
the
for a
game
guy who doesn't
intently.
like to make predictions, you really like to make them after the fact, don't you?
Backstage, people can vouch.
Everyone's a general after the battle.
I didn't hear anything. Did you?
I think the T side was better from Liquid, right? The way that it was very meticulous in the way that they took like side haul and then got mid control, and from there they bled out the clock and utility and then just executed onto the sites where EnVyUs was still spread out in their normal 2-3 setup, and that was a bit of a problem. When we flicked over though, Sixer saved them. Sixer had a lot of clutches, a lot of impact frags, right? That is actually, I don't think their T-side was better. I think EnVyUs T-side was more sloppy. I think they got lucky with a lot of situations and clutches. And when I say lucky, obviously someone had to do it, but they were finding really good spacings and timings to be able to pull that off.
So if we're gonna take that train of thought that there was just a sloppy defense out of the Team Liquid side, wasn't necessarily some great executes out of the Envy side. What is it that how did that break down? Because there were multiple rounds towards the end during A executes from Envy, 3 players for Team Liquid over towards the A bomb side. And they still can't hold on to it.
I wouldn't say necessarily that the execute from EnVyUs was sloppy. I think it was great once it gets to the final like stage of it, right? You could see in that particular round, the problem was like Liquid did nothing to get any map information. They didn't pop flash into A mid. They didn't try to go for that aggressive push towards B platform, and that's why they had the blind stack. They were hoping to guess right and to defend, but the pop flashes from EnVyUs were so strong. Scream just pushes after that, gets both kills on the players who were close mid, and then JDM is left by himself. He gets 2 kills by some miracle. Shouldn't have gotten that even. So I just felt like Liquid in some of those situations should have been more aggressive, while Liquid on their own T side didn't even leave room for EnVyUs to be aggressive because their timings were so crisp and everything was like on point.
I think, yeah, the EnVyUs guys on their CT side were kept rotating a lot, right? They were always out of position, and Liquid did a great job of keeping a change of pace as well. They threw in a couple of fast strats, which caught them off guard. Envy tried to do the same thing on their T side. It didn't work. Got shut down, but that's because it looked like Liquid was stubborn in the way they wanted to hold. They wanted to keep that AWP over towards B, and when a rush comes in, the AWP at Coop is relatively effective, and we did see that happen. I would like to see the AWP at the A-bomb side instead. Stan and Nitro picking it up here on previous demos. It's not as effective as having your primary AWP going for kills towards side hole and middle and actually being a menace.
And I also think when you have a secondary AWPer like Stanislaw, who is not a Cold Zera, he's not a Nico, like he's not a very strong secondary AWPer, right? I don't think that player should pick it up in the first gun round. I think that just puts a lot of pressure, and not necessarily on the economy as much. It does to an extent, but also it kind of diminishes your play. Start off with a rifle and see what the T's are going to do. You know, you might be running a double AWP. You haven't seen one gun round. They might be going with a play that completely negates double AWP, execute heavy style, and then you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, don't you think like the way that EnVyUs address the game, it's always been like I just ate the mic. It's always been like a 4-1 setup, right? It just touched my lip. It freaked me out. But they always do like a 4-1 with Happy on the lurk. And an AWP isn't the best way to deal with that. Having 2 rifles in a position ready to pop flash, like you're saying, relatively aggressively as they're doing their territory take, as they're doing their flashes and molotovs and fighting back with utility, and then stopping them in that way is a much more effective way than hoping that someone walks into the AWPer's line of sight. And it's not going to happen. You're not going to hit those combat AWP shots when you're a secondary AWPer who I wouldn't even consider Stan or Nitro a secondary AWPer at all. They're just doing it for necessity, kind of like Taka.
All right, then. Well, that's what happened on Cbble. First map goes to Team EnVyUs 16-14. It's going to have to be another good terrorist half out of Liquid when we return because it's Train. It's EnVyUs' pick, and that's a dangerous one. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.